Hello everyone, Nicole Steckline, Technical Agronomist for DeKalb and Asgrow in Northeast Iowa. My Twitter feed has been exploding from my peers across the river in Illinois, and now it's starting to show up in my territory in Northeast Iowa. What am I talking about? Phytophthora root and stem rot. So Phytophthora can cause anything from damping off systems and seedling blight to damping off systems later on in the season, like now when we're starting to transition from R1 to R2. So we also see a lot of that from Pythium. So how can we tell the difference? Early in the season, it's very hard to distinguish from field observations whether it's Pythium or Phytophthora that's causing that early season damping off. However, as we get further into the season, we have more diagnostic ability in the field to be able to tell what pathogen is causing our plant death. So one of the keys that can help us to distinguish is what were the time frame of the planting and early season growth. Pythium and Phytophthora, both of those pathogens are the same type of pathogen, where they require free water to infect and move through the soil profile. The key difference is that Pythium prefers it cool and wet and 60 degrees and below, and Phytophthora prefers it a little bit warmer, like myself. It likes it wet and it needs that free water, but it likes it in that 60 to 80 degrees better. Now, recently, we've had some higher temperatures, which has been more conducive to this Phytophthora pathogen. So if we look at these two plants, we have same field, same variety, planted on the same date. We've got this plant here that's transitioning from R1 to R2. We've got good node development, good new growth. If we look underneath the ground, we've got a green stem. As we're getting closer to the soil line, we've got the white. On the inside, we've got good white tissue. And we've got a nice, strong root system that's made it hard to pull out of the ground. And we've got healthy and developing nodules to help us fix nitrogen for this healthy plant. This guy right here, he didn't get very big. The growth has been stunted. These leaves are starting to turn yellow and to wilt. If we look on the bottom portion of this plant, we can tell that the stem itself has brown extending from the soil line and moving up through the plant. Eventually, that brown will probably start to move further up the nodes. We've also got, if you can see, these nodules have died. That Phytophthora pathogen will also kill the symbiotic relationship between these nodules and the plant. And then the roots are not as well developed, and it's much easier to pull out as they become soft and diseased. So if we're able to tell the difference between Pythium and Phytophthora, more than likely we're going to see the Phytophthora showing up later on in the season, where Pythium is going to be earlier when it's still cool. So then what can we do about it? What's causing this? So when we look at soybean variety, there's basically two different ways that we can help these plants fight off this infection. The first would be gene specific, where there's different genes that we can breed into these plants. Now, there's different genes, and each gene is going to have a different level of control for different species or different races of Phytophthora, because there's more than just one. So we've got specific genetics that can go in there, but then we've also got overall field tolerance. And that's typically what we see for disease resistance, particularly when you think about corn and things like northern corn leaf blight or gray leaf spot, where we're looking at the overall ability of the plant to not become infected or to be able to continue to yield in the presence of that disease. So there's two different ways. This disease also is going to overwinter in the soybean stubble. So if we're in a corn bean rotation, doing things to help that stubble from the year before break down is going to help, but it also continues to live in the soil. So things that we can do if we have a field that we know has a high level of Phytophthora, we need to look at our genetics to make sure that we are planting soybeans that have a gene that is going to cover us for the race of Phytophthora that we have in our field, as well as looking at our overall field tolerance to Phytophthora. That's all I've got for you guys today. As always, call, text, or email with questions.